Hey there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the final video, video 4, for Chapter 35, Behavioral Adaptations to the Environment. Alright, so we've been through the basis of behavior, and learning, and even courtship behavior. Let's talk social behavior. Now Alright, I love animal behavior. I adore it, but I love social behaviors. Social behaviors is where you get complex relationships, interactions between relatives, like siblings and other extended members of their families. You get animals working together to enact more complex behaviors, like this pod of dolphins working together to hunt and get more fish than any one of them could catch by themselves. It's fantastic. It's so much more rich. You get so much more information out of social behavior. I love it. When we apply social behavior to evolution, and we look at it in an evolutionary context, we get the field of sociobiology. So let's look at some things in the context of sociobiology. Lots of social animals need a lot of space to live in. They need space to have places to live, whether that's sets or burrows or just places to sleep, nests to build, but they also need enough space to have enough resources, fresh water, plenty of food, to support them and their family group, which is typically what they live with. Wolves are famous for maintaining a very large territory. These maps you can see here to the right are of Yellowstone National Park, and of the wolf pack territories we were able to measure through the Park Service between 2009 and 2010. As you can see, there's a lot of play back and forth, and not all packs survive from one year to the next, even in the same area. But also, even in packs that do survive from one year to the next, their territory doesn't necessarily stay the same size or in exactly the same place, because a social group of animals inside its territory will move around throughout its territory over the course of a year and even throughout a day, depending on the size of the animal and the size of the territory. Also in social behaviors, you end up with agnostic behaviors. You have all of these social relationships between individuals, and you need to reinforce who gets along with who and who's dominant to who. And these relationships are reinforced through something called agnostic behaviors. We see these a lot in social behaviors. We also see them when members of one sex are competing to be able to mate with a member of the other sex. Agnostic behaviors include everything from fighting with each other, but even more commonly, big, elaborate posturing displays to show off how strong, healthy, fast, or intimidating one animal is versus another, so that fighting isn't even ever necessary. Fighting is very risky in the wild because even if you win the fight, you may still be very badly hurt, and that damages your ability to survive. Like I said, agnostic behaviors are frequently used to compete for mates, but they're also used to maintain a dominance hierarchy. What a dominance hierarchy is in a social species is the set of relationships that determine which animal has authority or leadership or dominance over another animal. So which animals will obey other animals, which animals will interfere with other animals in the same family group. A good example of this is horses, which are very strong family-tied social animals, and they have a hierarchy, usually amongst the females, amongst mares inside a herd of horses. For instance, you may see one mare rearing, displaying size and strength versus another individual. Males will do this too, especially young males, but there are typically more females in a herd than males. Some behaviors, well, let's be honest, most social behaviors in animals are what we would call pretty selfish. This isn't to say that there's some kind of moral, ethical judgment going on here. It means that most social behaviors benefit the animal that does them. Some of them don't benefit the animal directly, however. And behaviors that don't appear to benefit the animal, or at least not benefit the animal directly, are called altruistic behaviors. Note that I say may not benefit them directly. There are some ways that altruism can still benefit an animal, usually through something called inclusive fitness. Inclusive fitness is when the action of the behavior of one animal benefits one of its relatives, usually like a sibling, uh, because siblings still share 50% of their DNA, half of their DNA. So even if one sibling is being altruistic, it still benefits them evolutionarily because their genes will still be passed down by making their siblings more evolutionarily fit. A classic example of this is babysitting in meerkats. Meerkats are matriarchal. They're led by a dominant female. But because the dominant female is normally the one who breeds, there's sometimes adult females in the family group that are not breeding. Instead, they concentrate on taking care of the family's offspring, usually the dominant female's offspring. Those offspring are normally their siblings, their younger brothers and sisters. And by caring for the younger brothers and sisters and helping them to survive, this altruism enacts inclusive fitness because it's benefiting a direct sibling that the nursemaid female shares half of her DNA with. This is also considered a form of kin selection. Kin selection is a form of altruism where the altruistic behavior specifically benefits relatives of the animal, so other animals in that family group that the animal shares DNA with. Sometimes we get a big revolutionary discovery in animal behavior, or in any field of biology, by the way. These scientists that give us these new revolutionary, world-changing discoveries are our heroes. Allow me to introduce you to one of mine. This is Dr. Jane Goodall, science geek extraordinaire and a DBE, a Dame Commander of the Order of the British Empire, awarded for her contribution to science, by the way. Ladies, if you think you cannot go on to change science, look again. Jane Goodall didn't have a whole lot of science background. She didn't even have a PhD when she was hired on to start studying chimpanzees in the 1960s. But her observations of chimpanzee social bonding and tool using completely changed how we see chimpanzees as a species, and it helped get support for conserving and saving the chimpanzee species because they were being hunted for food. Now Dr. Goodall travels the world teaching people about conservation. She raises money for conservation to save habitat and species the whole world over. That is one awesome scientist. And she studies animal behavior, near and dear to my heart. Hero. We're going to finish up in just a moment, though, but ooh, that is so cool. Okay. Soapbox, coming back. We're going to wrap up with looking at our behavior. Chimpanzees are an awfully close relative of ours, so it's not a very big leap from them to us. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are animals. We are a very, very social animal. We're incredibly good at vocal, auditory communication. We've got body language. We've got some really weird behaviors. Look at anybody, in their car alone when they can't tell somebody's watching them. We have some weird behaviors. Even though we are so advanced, even though our behaviors are so complex, we still have the same genetic and environmental component to our behaviors as any other animal. In humans, we even have a specific term for this. It's called nature versus nurture. It's the effect of our genes combining with the effect of how we're raised and our social environment as we grow up that impacts our behavior over time. Even in genetically identical twins, a natural experiment where the DNA in each is the same, you can still end up with remarkably different people because of how they bond with other humans as they grow up. They're still different people. DNA is not enough to determine all of our behavior. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go geek out about Jane Goodall and social behavior. But I will see you next time. Bye, folks.